And we are back with a new show, very somber show,
At least to
as
start.
we pay homage to the legendary one, star of Roadhouse,
Mm,
NWA champion, ECW
yeah,
champion, Terry Funk,
the Funker,
and the creative one,
the Funker.
arguably one of the best characters of all time, and from what I hear, even better person.
Yep.
Mr. Wyndham Rotunda, you know him as Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, yeah. The stuff that I've seen has really. It's been hard not to have somewhat of a reaction to.
Mm-hmm.
There was something I saw Seth Rollins do where he spoke to the house crowd. Hi, baby.
Hi, dear.
And hi, dear,
Hi.
or
No.
hi, dear.
No. Hi, dear. I was responding.
There's lots of deer in upstate New York.
There are. You're right.
There is.
Anyway, and it was really, it was quite heartfelt. You could just see, and the crowd was doing the firefly thing while Seth was talking to him. And,
Was that the stuff from the house show that he did?
I think it was. I think it was just for the house.
Yeah, he did. He did the corner thing. You know how Bray used to sit, like hold on to the corner and bet. He did that during the match, and he did the spider walk too.
I didn't see that, but that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's great to see.
He started his promo last night with Yowie Wowie on Raw.
Oh, nice.
Oh, I didn't see that part. No kidding.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. The thing that immediately strikes me is, the wrestling business gets, it takes its shots, and rightfully so sometimes, like the dirt sheets and all the bullshit. But when you see the universal reaction that Wyndham has gotten, so many people, and it's been nothing but positive, and obviously somebody passes away. You don't want to come out and bash the person, but you can tell how genuine this is. I personally, and this is I'm not even about to make this about me, because it's not, I knew him in passing, and any interaction or any time I ever was around him, he was nothing but positive, and just a credit to what we do, and like you said at the top of the show, Frank, the creativeness that came off of him and the originality from that whole. Well, I don't want to. Again, What are your guys' thoughts? Let's, before I just have diarrhea of the mouth.
Oh, you're giving it to me?
I can have that.
Yeah.
I mean,
let's just pass the diarrhea around.
That sounds like a horrible idea. Although I think Frank's the only one. I think Frank's.
And
Frank's the only one
as much as this is it's a somber kind of occasion, right? I think, we do somewhat a credit to him to still laugh a little bit and joke. That was one of the things that I'll remember about him, even from way early on when I first met him. I think I first met him in Tampa, at Florida Championship Wrestling, and before they did the what was the gimmick that they all came in as, that group? Was
Nexus?
Nexus, yeah. All right. So what do you think, Dennis?
I mean, that was a tough one. Obviously, it's been a bad week losing Funk and Bray, but I mean, clearly I didn't know the guy whatsoever. I just saw what we all saw on TV, the creative aspect of that guy and the character. The Bray Wyatt character was so deep, and it was, from what I understand, all his ideas, which I think is pretty damn impressive. But everybody, all the stuff that I've seen online, like you said, it's been all positive stuff. His laugh was pointed out a number of times, how people are going to miss his laugh. Just his positivity. That clip you sent me on Instagram with Becky Lynch talking to the crowd last night after Raw and talking about the type of guy he was, and going into that pay-per-view where he had his own match but was concerned about her going through the table match that she had to go through and helping her deal with that. So it's just, the guy was clearly just a solid human. So it was it was tough. I mean, that was obviously nobody was expecting it, but man, out of nowhere, like I think Frank sent us the tweet from Triple H, and it was like we're all just like, what the fuck, really? What? How?
Yeah.
So sucks a lot.
It does.
Well, credit to the WWE for putting together that SmackDown. I think this happened Thursday night. They turned around, put a tribute show together.
Yeah.
That, man, I don't think anybody in the world could have put together a better show.
The production team was phenomenal.
The video package, bringing back Braun and Big Red, his running mates, Eric Redbeard.
Yeah.
That was tasteful.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say this: nobody can circle the wagons the way WWE can, and that's a credit to Vince. Love him or hate him. It's a credit to Vince McMahon. It's a credit to Triple H. It's a credit to a lot of people. I've heard great things, and I've never met the man, but Nick Khan. I keep hearing great things about the guy. So, WWE does it. It's not for everybody, but you can't deny when it comes down to circling the wagons, nobody does it really any better.
I give a lot of credit to pretty much all of the promotions that are out there that paid tribute to him. And on top of that, there was like football clubs that paid tribute to him. And it was literally
beautiful, man.
Everywhere. I think, was it AEW kicked off their Friday night show with a tribute to him, or their Saturday show with a tribute to him? And
Saturday show.
Yeah, there was the Saturday show. Yeah, because I think Friday's taped, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, at the end of the day, like a guy like Wyndham kind of crosses all of those lines because he is a good human being and he lives his life that way. And he just brought like goodness, and I'm sure he had his bad days. Like I said, I didn't know him well enough to know of those days, but I know from early on, his athleticism too for a guy that big.
Yeah.
And he was a ball player, like I met him before he had come up with the Bray Wyatt thing, whatever, and he was kind of figuring some of that out.
Wasn't he Husky Harris or something like that?
Husky Harris with Nexus, but he was somewhere in between the two, I think, when I met him in Tampa. And he was working with Dusty, if I remember correctly, and like hashing out this character. And all I knew about the character was that it was loosely similar to De Niro in Cape Fear.
See that.
And then all these years later for it to be, I mean, I thought once I saw the character, like I thought the pairing of him with Brody Lee.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Redbeard and like the whole thing, like it was one of those that you're like, you just shake your head like, yep, something about that on screen is working. I don't know what it is, but it is, and I don't even know why I point out this coincidence or whatever you want to call it, but for Brody and for Wyndham to be gone so young, and for them to have been that, just revolutionary of a gimmick at a time, and like a one of one, no, they weren't based on anybody. Like you can say like Cape Fear De Niro, but it well, I mean, when you talk about it got into like the Fiend and the Fun House, and like, I mean, we're talking layers upon layers, but for both of those guys to be gone, for it to have like a dot connection of some kind to COVID,
Yeah.
it really sucks, because wherever you fall on the COVID conversation, and how much of it's real and drugged up and bullshit and blah, blah, blah. Like, who cares? I just know two really genuine and good human beings are not here. And they leave families behind, like wives, children, and these were two good men that were leading their families and leading other people. It's it's such a shame.
For sure.
Yeah.
And what's crazy, I didn't know this until like he was well into his career, but it's Mike Rotundo's kid. If you look at Wyndham, he doesn't really resemble Mike Rotunda. I mean, Mike Rotundo's an All-American wrestler at Syracuse. I wouldn't put Bray in that class, but he's a hell of an athlete.
Well, it's Bray and Bo, so what kind of circles it for me is I was a big fan of Rotunda and Wyndham as the tag team, like the first WrestleMania and stuff. That captivated me.
Trivia question: that was the original theme song of Real American.
Was it? Yeah,
that's where it came from.
Yeah, it was. It was. How cool is that? But Rotunda was a guy that, he wasn't a great body guy. He was just kind of big, but good athlete, which a lot of amateur wrestlers are. You'll see a lot of amateur wrestlers do a nip up, and these are things that over the years were considered super athletic by pro wrestling standards.
Arguably the most underrated wrestling family of all time.
The Rotundas.
The Rotundas. You branch out the Wyndhams.
Well,
Mike and Barry, I believe, are brother-in-laws.
Yes.
Yeah, they are. They are.
There's a connection like that too. Yeah.
You got Blackjack. You got Barry.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking 3 full generations. You just, talked about there, and then talk about generations. I mean, there's the segue. The Funks, like who's more legendary? And my wife knows of Dory Funk because my wife's from Ocala. Yeah. My wife's from Ocala. That's where the Funkin' Conservatory, I think, was at one point. But regardless what it was, my wife growing up like knew that, there's this like funk wrestling school. And so she wasn't sure, like if it was the guy that had the school or not. And I explained to her, like, yeah, it was her brother or his brother. And somebody posted, it was Sami Zayn posted something on Twitter. Did you see it, Frank?
What was it?
Well, I ask you because you're the
Sami Zayn's posted
you're the man behind the Twitter mask. That is me.
But anyway,
yeah. Well, I don't know how forthcoming we'll be, but whatever. So Sami Zayn posted a clip, and it was Dory and Terry, and it was from Japan. I want to say it was big All Japan Days, and it was a tag tournament that they had won. And the
yes,
you've seen like the huge Stanley Cup looking trophies,
giant, it's huge.
And it was that kind of thing. And Dory standing with Terry, and I believe they both spoke a little bit in this promo to the Japanese crowd, who probably understands very little, but it's just screaming, which is not the norm for a Japanese crowd. And then Terry, who did more of the talking, which is the norm. I mean, Dory was pretty quiet, man, but Terry gets super emotional. And, I say anybody to watch it and be like, oh, well, that wrestling stuff is fake. Well, it wasn't fake to him.
No.
And they came up a wrestling family. So for these people, for the Cody Rhodes and for the Wyndham Rotundas and for the Terry Funks of this world, like, pro wrestling's as real as it gets. And so Sammy posted something that said pro wrestling, something about how beautiful it was, that few things in this world could be as beautiful as pro wrestling sometimes, or something to that effect.
Yeah.
And it was that, and it was like, so I got stuck thinking about it for a little while, and to think that Japanese crowd reacted the way they did to these two brothers from Texas speaking English, like speaking a language that they either kind of understand or don't understand at all, but the emotion just translated. You had Japanese fans in the crowd crying. Some of them might not even know what the fuck he was saying. But it still translated somehow. So, like, yeah, I mean, at first you look at it and you think to Sammy, like, oh, I don't know. Are you being a little dramatic? But it's actually not, I mean, the more I thought about it, I was like, he's potentially spot on.
When were you guys first introduced to the Funker? Not literally, but figuratively.
For me, it was Hulkamania.
Yes, for
One
me
of our
too.
favorite things.
It was 85, 86. He was feuding with the Junkyard Dog with Dory.
Yeah.
And then the legendary one, Jimmy Jack Funk, came about.
I do remember Jimmy Jack Funk, who do you know the story of that? Like, is Jimmy Jack Funk, I should know, right? I'm sure, but I kind of don't. He wasn't
Jimmy Jack, he's not a funk, he's Art Barr.
Oh, was it Art Barr?
It's not, or no, Art, it's Art's brother, Jesse
Art's
Barr.
brother. Okay, yeah. Yes. Okay, that's what it was. All right, and that makes sense. I made a comparison of Dominic to Art Barr recently. Dominic Mysterio.
Yes. Yeah.
He's doing the frog, and Eddie did that in honor of Art Barr. And maybe it's the mullet and kind of the tassels on the pants, but it would not shock me if Dominic were to come out and say like that he's taken some of the inspiration from. I mean, that would be a question I'd like to ask Dominic. Is do you have is there a little bit of tribute going out to Art Barr, Eddie and Art Barr, with your current offering of
movesets?
Yeah, not even movesets, but like even like his everything. I mean, we all have our inspirations, some more than others. LA Knight allegedly is, the copycat of the world. Anyway, I think he's...
Now, there was a good promo from Friday night, pardon the pun, when he came out and was real during his first part of the promo about Bray Wyatt.
Oh,
that
really?
was go back and watch that one, and that was from the heart. It was real, and then he just literally seamlessly cut into a promo about Miz. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, we've said it before, and your crush on the man aside, I think he's super talented, and anybody who's not willing to, who's not willing to acquiesce to that concept, I'm not sure we can be friends. Just, don't be a hater.
And he closed the promo too with he did his thing, and it was, with everybody saying LA Knight, and then he was like, wait a minute, after everybody got done yelling, and he came back to A wise man once told me, "Next time you see me, run." And that's how he closed his promo.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's a pro, dude. He's a pro. And anybody who's not down, for
With that,
or...
we got 2 words for you.
Yeah. But back to Terry Funk a little bit. I don't want to veer too far. I also remember Terry being one of the first pro wrestlers to make like a legitimate Hollywood, a little bit of a Hollywood move, but he was in what was that Stallone movie?
It was Over the Top.
Over the Top.
Yeah. He was in Over the Top. He was in Patrick Swayze Roadhouse. Yeah.
Great movie.
Great movie. Yeah. But, and it also makes you realize, too, like how big some of these guys are or how little some of Hollywood is. But you see these guys, you see Funk, who was, legendary, but a bit smaller when it came to like him and Hogan getting in the ring. But then you look at Funk on the set of one of those movies and you're like, Jesus, he's giant, And the Funker, too, was a good football player.
West Texas State, the home of legends.
Yeah.
I believe Tito Santana came from there. Also, the quarterback was none other Tully Blanchard.
Yeah. A lot of football. A lot of pro wrestlers transitioning to football from none other than West Texas State. I want to say, was it Dick Murdoch or
I think Dickie Murdoch did. I say Dickie like we're good friends, but Dick Murdoch did.
Dickie Murdoch. I do like some of those old classic names. I'm partial to that one because of my dad, but you don't get a lot of
Captain Redneck.
You don't get a lot of that these days. There's not a lot of people that are ballsy enough. See what I did there? To name their son Richard and go, yeah, we're gonna call him Dick. If I was to have a son, I think I'd do it. But I have all girls, and I'm not naming a girl Dick.
That's nice of you.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Very thoughtful.
What was your introduction to the old Funker there, D. Scott?
Dude, to be honest with you, I don't even really know. I think one of the only things I really remember was when he was in the dumpster and got thrown off the stage.
He won the tag team
stocking. When he wore the stocking over his head.
Chainsaw Charlie.
Yeah.
Was it him and Mick Foley both in the dumpster, or was it just
Yeah.
That was against DX, I believe.
Yeah.
That's really all I remember. Somehow Frank has and Bobby does too. The memories are terrible. Mine is as well. So I really don't remember that shit. Like all the old wrestling. I remember watching Saturday Night Main Event, but it was more like the Hogan stuff, the British Bulldogs, the Killer Bees.
Yeah.
But
yeah, Funk was. I mean, he circulated it for a little while. I don't think he stayed in what was called New York at the time, New York territory, very long. But he had a couple of ins and outs, and that was definitely the first place I saw him. I wasn't enough of a wrestling fan at that time to know his history and stuff prior to that. Like
I didn't know he was. I didn't know he was the NWA champion before that. And then fast forward, he shows up on NWA TV one Saturday morning or where the hell it was, Saturday night. Yeah. And he's feuding Ric Flair all of a sudden, and they had this epic battle that culminated down the street from us. The RPI
I was just going to bring that up. Really, you've brought that up a few times.
It's one of my favorite matches of all time. Literally, I will watch that. I love how it transitioned to Flair, the Horsemen becoming good guys, and the whole thing. And if you ask anybody who was in that match or in that time period, they hate it because Jim Herd was in charge of WCW at the time. They always piss on that part of it.
I've heard the match fondly remembered by quite a few people, though. And it was definitely, for me, like, kind of opened up my eyes to Funk's ability and just his history and all that stuff, because the WWF version that we got was, I'd say maybe upper middle card,
It was cartoony. It was Terry Funk, the cowboy guy.
right, where his career in Japan and his career in the NWA and through those territories and the territory system, I mean, he was Hulk Hogan,
Yeah.
to what we thought of a successful pro wrestler. So, and in Japan, I mean, like, the man literally is like a part of pop culture, like an icon. Um, and I met Terry once at a hotel. I may have like encountered him more than once, but never too much conversation. But I do remember the hotel time. It might have been like a Howard Johnson's or something. It was one of these not so great hotels, but he was just, as nice and polite as can be. Had a certain, like, southern little bit of charm to him. And you could just see it. It just, he oozed, just like, I do this job well, and I'm a fucking man. Like, don't, if you need to be slapped, I'm the guy that'll fucking do it. And I think that some of those guys are sorely missed, because today's product, I think there are some people who, could use a good slap. And I'm not talking about full on like assault, but just like just an open hand, disrespectful, fucking put you in your place like your father just smacked you, sort of smack. And I think it would help with some of these people to understand, like, I don't know. There's just,
So you need a Terry Funk at every lock, an enforcer, if you will.
I would say, yeah. Yeah. What? Of course. I think that you have a guy that's got that much respect, but at the same time, he's a nice human being, and he leads with that. And they come in all different shapes and sizes, and who knows? I mean, you think about, like, Harley was kind of that too, but Harley was a bit rougher around the edges, I think, than Terry, where Harley was a little bit more of, like, Terry just seems a little bit quieter. I don't know. I mean, I don't know any of these people like real well, but this is the impression I have of them. And yeah, man, he'll be sorely missed. I love, this is a personal note to it, Kyle. One of the things Kyle gets a lot of, or used to get a lot of attention for, is how well he could transition to certain kinds of selling. Because we both did a pretty straightforward, serious, like, kick your ass sort of martial arts gimmick. But Kyle'd be taking some heat, and out of nowhere, he pulled that wobbly knee sell that Funk does. And it would always get mentioned, and it was always a favorite of mine. And it's just interesting to see, like, all these years later, totally different gimmicks, nothing that would remind you of Terry and Kyle at all, but yet that was one of the things that stuck out to Kyle, and he was like, you know, I'm gonna borrow it. I'm gonna borrow it. And there's nothing wrong, you know, like in that instance, that's one of those instances where it's like, it's cool. It's cool that you borrowed it. You didn't lift
But-
it. You didn't, and it was a sell. Like,
Until you
know.
mismentioned that never dawned on me that's where it came from. Where it maybe
yeah.
I'm like, I just thought it was a good spot. I don't know.
Yeah,
Which
no,
I should recognize like that.
yeah. Do better, Frank. Do better.
Yeah.
You know?
Fucking slacker.
No.
Goddamn
I
slacker.
mean, you know, Kyle and I had many a conversation. Obviously, we're getting the tag team thing going, and yeah, that was one of the things. And he would pull it out at the most opportune times. You know, that wasn't an every match sell for Kyle. You know, wasn't like, oh shit, this is getting over, so I'm gonna do it. You know, and I just got to find a spot in every match. It's getting me over. And then that's again why I say, you know, weeks ago, like with LA Knight, the guy's getting over. So shut the fuck up, because it's a very hard, nuanced thing to do. And that was one of the things that I think helped get Kyle over. But then it's still very much a delicate balance. He started finding a few of those things, and he added them to his presentation. And the shit worked, and it was very juxtaposition to his offense, his technical, you know, aggressive martial arts offense. And then he does the wobbly knee sell and falls off the ring apron, you know, and people loved it. And I loved it. You know, I mean, Kyle's probably my favorite wrestler.
You heard it here first.
Yes, you did. I said it here first.
Yeah.
Oh, are you talking to the people? You're talking to them.
Yeah.
Talk to the masses. Talk to the masses. Back to Terry Funk, though. He was also an integral part of the rise of ECW. Because he was that locker room leader in a locker room filled of not ready for primetime players. And he main evented their first pay-per-view in a three-way dance with Stevie Richards. I think the Sandman was in that too.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had the members mixed up, but he was part of that.
Yeah. Well, I think what you had, you know, with Funk, with Dusty, you know, and the come up of ECW was them seeing kind of that outlaw renegade value in what ECW was, and that's what Dusty and Terry Funk were at different places at different times of their career. And so I think they identified with it, and they thought like, okay, well, if I can give a little rub to this, I'm behind this. Like I want to see this do well. I like to fight the machine a little bit. And I think that's what you had with both of them, you know, for sure. Yeah.
I think as we wrap up the tribute to Funk and Bray, both universally liked by everybody. I mean, we say that, but I think that's genuine.
Well, and I mean, downright loved. Like, you know, I'm not afraid to say that that's what I'm seeing these people and guys like Becky. Well, Becky's not a guy. She is the man, but so girls like Becky and guys like her husband, Seth, people like Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, you know, Corey Graves, you know, different people that have given their tributes and their honest feelings on the man. They came from, you know, spending time with Bray, Wyndham, whatever you want to call him, but like on the come up, like during the early NXT days, during the Florida Championship Wrestling days, when we were all, you know, or when people were grinding, and there's a certain bonding that takes place. You know, Frank, you've done double sessions. You know that bonding experience. I mean, truly, that's where it comes from. It's like shared suffering bonds people together. So I think that that's what you're seeing play out, and the quality of human being that he was is on full display when these people talk about him. Because, like, if you watch that one with Becky, that was not a promo. She
No.
was not promoing a little bit, not even a touch. That was just a girl sitting down, somebody, putting a microphone in her hand and her just recollecting this person. And it was beautiful, like downright beautiful. I just, it gave me chills. It gave me chills.
It's what we call the good stuff.
Yes. Horrible situation. Tragic in every way possible. Terry Funk leaves behind family members. Wyndham leaves behind family members. Most importantly, a wife, and I believe it's 4 children that lose who was a wonderful father, first and foremost, because that's what we all are firstly on this planet when we have children. And that's really the tragedy in all of this, the recounting of the talent that he and Terry Funk were. That's the silver lining, and that's a credit to what they did with their time on this planet, and their time on this planet was too brief for Wyndham. Not to say that like, oh well, Terry should have gone, but I mean Terry's quite a bit older, lived a long time, and can't say that from everybody in this industry. It can be slim pickings.
To put a cap on it, though, they're interviewing Gallows and Anderson, just getting their perspective on things. And Gallows said the first time he met Wyndham was in Florida, and Dr. Tom said, "Show these boys a good time." And as you probably know about Gallows, he took him to a gentleman's establishment for the night.
Yeah.
So then years later, they're doing a tour of Japan. Now Anderson's involved and everything, and I guess Anderson's got some guy friend over there who gives him gifts. Well, then they chop the shit out of the friend, and they're suplexing said friend on the bed, and I don't know, Bray's throwing around and just being crazy with him. But they said that's how he was. He was a fun-loving dude.
Yeah.
Of the party.
Yeah. He was very, very, I will just say this, because again, it's not about me and my experience with him, but he was just very, very nice to me every time I was ever around him. Never once was, never once did I walk away feeling like, oh, I don't know. I wonder with him. Like, nope. He always let you know, like, yeah, man, we're cool. You knew it. So
well said.
Yeah.
Any finishing touches, Mr. Scott? D. Scott?
No.
Good.
I got nothing.
Well said.
I feel like Frank at the end of the show. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah.
So there was a wrestling event this past Sunday in good old Wembley Stadium. An event that
The largest pro wrestling event in the history of pro wrestling.
well,
Huh?
is it an
History
event?
of pro wrestling or history of UK?
I think it's got to be UK, because didn't they put 96,000 in the dome
That's what I thought.
Pontiac Silverdome was
Yeah.
93,000.
or 93,000?
They're listen, everybody was saying, with all the shit that I saw, biggest event ever.
People say a lot of things about pro
Well, Hulk
wrestling.
Hogan, I think.
No, it wasn't Hogan, who the fucking man who walked on water and invented pro wrestling.
Whoa. All true things. All true things.
Obviously he invented everything. He figured out everything according to him. Which
This is like
blasphemy on the show too, by the way.
Hogan.
All we do is talk about how we're Hulkamaniacs, and now we're
Right. Well, I mean, part of I first became a Hulkamaniac when he invented the telephone.
Oh, that makes sense.
That was Hogan.
Yeah,
That was
I'm
Hogan.
pretty sure that's what he told Rogan.
Yeah.
Well,
he
before
invented
he
the
was-
cotton gin too.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
But before he was wrestling, he was playing the bass guitar in a band that opened for the Rolling Stones.
With Steven Seagal.
Correct.
Steven Seagal. Wow.
Yeah, he plays guitar too. He's a fantastic musician.
Yeah.
I think
Who
Steve
knew?
Kern. I think Steve Kern was on the tambourine.
Sounds about
You
right.
know who Steve Kern was?
Am I supposed to?
The Fabulous Ones. And
Frank.
he was Skinner.
Frank.
He was Skinner.
Yeah. Okay.
But no, I saw it a couple of different times. It was the biggest wrestling event ever.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm not here to deny it. I remember as a kid, Pontiac Silverdome.
Yeah,
It was
I do
always
too.
said that it was 90 something. I want to say 93,000, but don't quote me on that.
It was in the 90s. We can all agree it was in the 90s, which is a big difference from the 80s. 80,000 they put in.
Yeah,
Listen,
they were two different decades.
So
Listen, I give
who's
credit.
bullshitting? Somebody's bullshitting here.
Well, you can.
Yeah.
I think we all.
Yeah.
Okay, but so
Dude,
either of you tune
Shredding.
in and watch
didn't
it?
watch it personally. I was at an event, but I did follow it on the Twitter machine or the X machine, as I say, as the kids call it these days.
Mhm.
I think it's
And-
I think it's Elon Musk that calls it that. He's not really a kid, but yeah.
Oh, Big E calls it that.
Yeah, Biggie. Yeah, apparently we're friends with him now too.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Not yeah. I didn't watch
You
it either.
think those two are gonna fight? on the
Elon and
UFC?
Zuckerberg?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. What's in it for them?
It
Yeah,
was
what's the point? What is
well,
it?
it was I'm pretty sure it was a charity thing. They couldn't it seems like they just couldn't come to terms with shit. I don't know. And I'm trying to figure out who. I mean, granted, the celebrity boxing has become a thing, but who's paying money to watch a UFC card with two rich white assholes fight that aren't fighters? You know what I mean? Like,
I'll
just
tell you where
nerds.
we would have. Well, I'll tell you where we would have watched them fight. We would have signed up and paid a ticket if we had to. The Chalkies. The Chalkies.
Yeah,
Come on, the Chalkies, Frank.
Say it again.
Sand Creek Middle School. The
out
Chalkies.
back behind the school.
Come on, that's where all the fights went down.
Yep.
And eventually we threw keg parties there, right? Didn't we?
You may have. I was never at one, but possibly.
Yeah.
But
Well, if
yeah.
we're talking celebrity fights, I think we can go a little inside baseball here.
Celebrity deathmatch.
Greatest colony fight of all time.
Greatest communist fight?
Colony.
Oh, colony fight of all time? I don't
Yeah.
know. Dennis, you want to go? You gotta. I mean, we're really dividing our audience here, boys.
Yeah. For those of you that came to listen about pro wrestling talk, hang tight.
We'll
We'll
get
be
back
back.
to that.
With
We'll get back to that.
For those of you that didn't go to colony high school,
I apologize.
Go get a drink right now while we reminisce.
Or do poopies.
I did see a pretty outstanding Greg Half Mike Mink fight outside of my social studies class. And I want to say, I can't remember the teacher. He was, and I had him for homeroom. He came out, I think he was in Nam, and he came out and broke it up. I think he put Mike Mink in a chokehold. He like slid across the floor.
Really? This
and
is
like
Sand Creek.
No, that was at the high school.
Oh, really?
He like slid across the floor and wrapped his legs around Mike and like put him in a chokehold and broke up the fight.
Wow.
It was an impressive move. That was more impressive than the actual fight. Oh, and I think Greg might have flipped Mike Mink over his, like, kind of threw him over his back because all I saw was feet go. It was great.
Right.
Huh.
I was like, holy shit, what's going on?
Yeah.
And I went about my business. Then I just walked away. I was like, well, okay, bye.
You don't want to overstay your welcome.
Nope.
Nope.
All right, then we're back.
All right.
That was the colony portion of the show for all our Garnet and Gold Raider fans out there, that was for you.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
But back to the PP, or I think it was pay-per-view.
PP?
It's a
Back
pay-per-view.
to PP?
Pay-per-view.
WWE calls it the premium live events because that's what they put on. So
Yeah. And I just call it PP or number one.
PP.
I gotta do number one.
Excuse me.
Okay.
That sounded like a fart that came out of your mouth.
Isn't that what a burp is? I mean, essentially.
I guess. I don't know. I mean, because I have a feeling that stinks like your butt.
It didn't taste like my butt.
Yeah, well, when's the last time you tasted your butt?
All great questions. All great questions.
Let's get back to All In.
Okay. All right. Let's go brush our teeth.
Yeah.
All right. All in.
Maybe get a mint.
What else are you hearing about the event? The attendance, obviously a big thing.
Good hot crowd.
Yeah.
Good matches, but like our good friend Eric Bischoff stated, like Dennis pointed out before the show, it was a grand. How do you say, a grand independent show?
He said it was an indie show on steroids, basically, is what it was.
And it goes back to when I see
like anything on steroids, I'll be honest. You can, put anything on steroids and I like it.
All right.
I like steroids.
I go back to when I seen AEW live a couple months ago, and somebody behind me had to describe what AEW was for another fan who wasn't familiar with it. And he says, it's Chris Jericho and a few other WWE guys, but primarily it's the best of the independent guys. And I'm like, wow. Yeah, I think he's right.
Mm-hmm.
He
so
was
what
right.
did Jericho do? Didn't he wrestle Ospreay?
The matches were fantastic. I don't think
Ospreay Jericho fantastic.
Yes, the only match that I've only seen clips of every match as it was happening live, somewhat. The only match that I probably wouldn't have enjoyed was the Moxley Eddie Kingston, that whole thing. I hate the spot where it looks like they're putting spaghetti in somebody's forehead. It's like sticks.
Yeah.
They did this. I don't know. It looks stupid. I don't know what it is. It just looks stupid.
No, I know the spot you're talking about. There's a place for it. I've had lots of friends that do the ultra violent stuff. I think no, definitely not lots of friends. All right, that was a lie. I lied.
Oh, okay.
I was lying. But then again, depending on how you spin it, I've kind of lied my whole adult career. Like, I'm a professional liar, I used to tell my kids. Which I kind of am. Anyway, it's not my cup of tea. And I'm just going to leave it at that because I don't knock any of those guys. And I certainly see the value and the talent in Moxley and Eddie Kingston. And I've never had a cross word with either of them. I think I know Eddie definitely better than I know Moxley. Moxley's always been a little bit aloof, but I think that's him. So at this point in my life, like, I don't take that stuff personally. I just think he's one of those people that kind of keeps to himself. I know the spot you're talking about. I don't love it. But then again, you've never seen me do it. So that makes sense. The ultra-violent stuff, it's what it is, I guess.
I was never into it. That is the definition of garbage wrestling.
Yeah, I don't like it. What else was on the show? We had 2 out of 3 falls with the Bucks and
nope, that was a regular match. It was a third of their trilogy, with FTR going over. Another good match.
Okay.
What else? Samoa Joe and CM Punk. Solid match.
Please tell me he did not try to GTS it.
I don't
know. But he did go over Samoa Joe. He did win the match.
Right. Okay. Just no more GTS. after that one that they put on Twitter. Come on, please.
That was a little rough.
Yeah, I mean, Joe's a big man, but holy shit. Like that was laughably awful. But yeah, so he was that. Where did that fall on the card? Was that main?
That was the opener. The main event was MJF and your good friend.
Right.
For again, watching the clips as it was happening live, fantastic.
Yeah.
They bring Roddy Strong out. Roddy Strong does the old dick kick.
Yeah.
And you think one of them's going to turn. They teased it the whole match. It was awesome. I would have paid to see the event just for that match.
Well, I think they've got lightning in a bottle with this. I think that they have, they thought that they had something with this angle, and it would be a little bit of the odd couple. And it really has become more than I think anybody would have expected. And I give them credit. I give Tony credit. I give AEW credit with like they're riding it out. They're seeing. I don't think that it had a long-term life originally, and I think that they're seeing the value in it. And they're like, okay, well, we can always pull the trigger on the damn thing. Right. Let's ride this. Let's see where it goes. And I mean, and maybe it could be because Tony's got big brass balls, or it could be because he's like he doesn't know what he doesn't know, and he doesn't know that like he shouldn't be doing it, so he's doing it. But either way, whatever the reason, it's creating good quality content. So much in the same way I feel about LA Knight getting over, like you kind of can't argue with it. Like just shut up and enjoy what's there.
That makes me watch AEW because it's
entertaining.
It really is.
Yeah,
those two,
they're both just super talented,
and they get their chemistry is ridiculous.
Yeah. And they're not talented in a forced way, and I think that that's what you're seeing, Dennis. Is you're seeing two guys that their talent, both of them are talented enough to where you're just seeing a couple of dudes like that are aware of who they are in terms of this business, and so they just go out and riff. And neither one's afraid to take chances. So it's almost like they're daring each other to one up the other. And that's good. I agree, man. I've really enjoyed it.
What's funny is Dave LaGreca from Busted Open had MJF on like a town hall type sit down interview with him. And they played clips of an interview he did with them in 2017. And the character he was back then and the deal he does now, it's really not that much different. It might be turned up a few decibels, but it's crazy how he really hasn't. He's evolved, I guess you would say. He hasn't changed the way he is. It's still the same asshole that he was back then.
Yeah.
But that's his deal, though. That's what he does.
Right.
Well, I mean, I think that's a good character. Right?
Yeah.
I think when you've got and it's a good performer in that, like you're aware of who you are, and you don't necessarily change who you are for your circumstances. You might modify, but you there's no wholesale change until it's time, and that time may never come for him, or it might come, 10 years, 20 years down the road for him because he's a young guy. Like, I don't know. Time will tell. I will say this, like the MJF that you'll have, I'm going to say even 5 years from now will be just to varying degrees, but different than the one you have now. For sure. I think he's only going to grow. He's only going to get better. I think him and Adam, I mean, those are two guys that you're pretty sure you can, hook the cart to and expect for a good return. So I think the longer they keep them into this thing with each other, it's not a bad thing.
Well,
and they won the ROH Tag Team Champions too.
they did, and he did a kangaroo kick. MJF pulled off a kangaroo kick in that match.
I think I saw something about kangaroo kick, but I missed it during the clip, so I wasn't sure what they were alluding to.
It was something. It was basically a callback to a couple weeks ago or something like that, and
they were prepping for Aussie Open, and
Yes.
they were doing a whole thing with the Australian kangaroos and the whole kicking, the kangaroos kicking. That's where it originated the kangaroo kick.
Yeah, so he did it.
I think we should do it.
I don't think I can do that, but I'm willing to sit here and watch you try.
I'll give it a
You.
Yeah, I'm willing to sit here and watch you get up and try to do a kangaroo kick.
I think we will finish up not with the kangaroo kick, but we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about our old buddy, our old pal, distant friend of the show, starting his old tomfoolery once again, Mr. CM Punk.
Yeah, that's the one thing that is extremely disappointing for AEW, I think, is they just had the biggest show of the company's lifespan. And it, again, not watching the show, but, I'm here, like, even us just talking about how great the matches were. But the only thing people are really talking about is the bullshit that went on backstage. And that sucks for that company because you don't want to come off your biggest anything ever. And the only thing people are talking about is the horse shit. So
let's go based on what we've read with the dirt sheets,
which is all we can go off of.
Right. Let's go. Let's humor them for just a few seconds. The one thing that I read a little while ago was the fight took place near the gorilla position where Tony Khan was. So Tony Khan, the owner of this company, is watching two of his performers almost kill each other. Fight. And there's monitors getting dumped in his lap.
Well, some people are this too. Like some people, but let's face it, pro wrestling has a lot of people that want to show. They're not necessarily that interested in being, but they want to show. They want to put on a show for the people that are watching, which could be their peers, could be, their boss, could be whomever. I don't think it's too much of a stretch to think that, like, okay, you're attempting to give this impression that's not real, but then again, you've made a career of being something other than what you actually are. So it kind of goes hand in hand, makes total sense. Actually, but
I mean, at this point, the stories are so all over the place. I mean, the early reports were that Perry walked up and bumped Punk, and whatever. And then they're like, that's one side that's saying that, and I'm like, yeah, that's obviously it was clear to know whose side of the story that was. And then the other one was that Phil came up to Perry before he went out, and it was, do we have a problem? Yada, yada, yada. And either pushed or like shoved his head and then put him in a guillotine choke, like a standing guillotine.
So prior to that, it was the Hook and Perry match. Before that match, those two fought. And there was a spot where they used a winch. There was glass involved, and Perry said something into the.
It's real glass, cry me a river, is what he said. Right into the camera.
Right, alluding to something that CM Punk had said weeks prior to Perry.
There just seems to be too much backstage bullshit going on, is what it appears to be.
They need Terry Funk-ish type enforcer. That's what they need.
Well, Frank, we just went over the fact that he just passed away, so that we're not gonna
like him.
Oh, sorry, my bad, my fault.
Well, I mean, they had at one time the enforcer. They had Arn Anderson there. I think Arden's still
I think he's
floating
still
around there. I
is he
know
still
Brock's still wrestling for them. So
You know, about 2 years ago, Billy Gunn had said this in a blurb in some interview he did. He goes, "The problem right now at AEW is none of the young talent takes advantage of the guys that are backstage." And then you think about it, at one point they had Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, Billy Gunn, Blinn, all these guys. D. Malenko's there also, and they never tapped into those resources. Well, at some point they're going to be like Terry Funk, and they're going to be deceased. So you absorb the information when it's at your fingertips.
mm-hmm.
And until you take advantage of that, then that's going to be your downfall.
Yes, sir. But
because knowledge is power.
Why did you have to yell that? I don't understand. Why?
You're probably falling asleep.
It's Hulkamania. Was I? I am tired, man. I am like
was I?
I am
Am I?
so burning both ends of the candle right now.
Well,
yeah.
Well, and to wrap up that other bullshit conversation, I am seeing that he's either suspended and or he quit at the end of the night. So
he's actually here. He's here now.
Phil.
Who's this?
Phil.
Did he quit?
Yeah.
He tried quitting allegedly before the match, and Samoa Joe had to talk him into coming out because what was going to happen was they were scrambling backstage, and they went to FTR and the Bucks and like, hey, can you guys lead the show off because we may have a problem with this match? And they're like, well, no, we're not ready to go out right now. I'm assuming playing sports, you need to be prepared for your deal. So Samoa Joe talked Punk in, hey, let's go do this and do some business.
Fair enough.
On that note,
yeah, we should wrap this up before he starts snoring.
Did I fall asleep?
Guys, are you?
You weren't snoring.
Yeah.
So, Frank.
Well, I mean, here's the thing too: is you're talking about specifically about what?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Because we didn't end it.
No, I'm not really. I was ready to, and you're like, "Well, hold on." I got a thought. I got a thought.
I'm just saying, my thought is this: is like you got onto the subject of someone that like I saved my comments for. It's I said my piece one time way back when, and I've caught nothing but flack for it, and all it was for me was like, dude, if you're looking to fight everybody, like. You don't have to go very far if I'm there, and I was there for a year. I'd be happy to indulge the man. At my age, dare I say at his age, like, is that what two grown men should be doing? No, probably not. But he's running around, trying to fight Dylan McKay's kid from 90210. Like, I don't know. That makes you kind of a bully, I think. But you can't fight, so I'm not sure you can be a bully if you can't fight. But hey, it is what it is. It's pro wrestling. You can be whatever you want. that
is true. And for what it's worth, this might all be a work. Who knows?
I'd be so impressed. And I'd be so happy. It would really mean something. Like it'd be awesome. It would be. I'd be down for it, but
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. All right.
I should go to bed.
Yeah. Frank, what do you got?
BobbyFishApparel.com for all your school needs, school clothes needs.
For all
good your school clothes. Come on, Frank. All your good school clothes needs.
Hoochie coochie coo. Dennis, what do you got?
Nothing. I'm spent. I'm as spent as Bobby is. So on that note, Bobby, you know what it is. Say goodnight, Bobby.
Good night, Bobby.
Yeah. Good night.